I'm gonna be giving you guys Kindle Unlimited book recommendations in today's video. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. I missed you so much. So today we're doing a little bit of a different video. I don't usually do too many TBR recommendation kind of videos, but I want to implement some of them more. And today I have a very... Hold on. I didn't even bring it. Hold on. The way I started this video without the prime essence whole point of the video, this is my Kindle. If you guys have never heard of Kindle Unlimited, basically it's a free monthly subscription through Amazon and Kindle. Basically treat it as a digital library. You can check out a certain amount of books at a certain amount of time for free, as long as they are accessible through Kindle Unlimited. And then you can read them and then you trade the books back as you read. It's a really fun resource for I think around $11 a month. And I've been paying it since I got my Kindle. 100% worth it. I have always thought it was worth it. When you're paying $10 to $20, usually closer to the $20 side for books, when you only pay $10 for multiple books in a month, it's usually a good investment, especially if you read a lot and you use your Kindle. So in having Kindle Unlimited for such a long time, I have a lot of book recommendations that I want to share with you guys. If you guys are looking for something new to read on Kindle Unlimited, if you're just scrolling, cannot find a thing to read and you just want to pick up a free book that you can get quick and easy, I have I think 10 to 12-ish book recommendations to give you guys in this video. First, I want to get all of the well-known books out of the way. I feel like a lot of times people, when they give book recommendations, are reiterating a lot of the books that we've just known off of Book Talk since 2023, 2022. We all know these really popular series, but still they are available through Kindle Unlimited, and some people might not know that you can read them for free. So I do want to get those out the way. First, the Windy City series. This is one of my favorite sports romance series I have ever read. It's a sports romance found family cross multi-sport kind of series. The first book starts with a hockey player, then we jump to basketball, then baseball, and I think we go back to hockey in the end. And there's also a spin-off book for the coach of the baseball team. Over the books, we get introduced to more and more characters that will later on get into book, and then it just gets better and better, and it just grows bigger and bigger, and it's one of the best series I have ever read. The first book is Mile High, and that's between Stevie and Xanders. Xanders is a hockey player and Stevie is one of the flight attendants. A lot of people say they hate that book. I personally binged the first and the second book, and I binged it years ago, and I really loved it when I read it, so I can't say, but I definitely would recommend, if you start with the first book, to just keep going with the series, because it is one of the best series, and I've only ever heard hate for that very first book. A lot of people say it's too smutty. A lot of people just say that they didn't really like the male main character. I really liked him, but also that's just my take on the series, and I would recommend it to anybody. I feel like you get more and more attached. Even though the new people come along, they don't really feel like outsiders. It kind of just feels like at the end, this is the cast it was supposed to be, and you just get to see their lives, and I just loved it. The latest book I read was the spin-off book, In Her Own League. Really enjoyed that book. I don't know, I flew through it. I have flown through every one of these books, not just because it was on my Kindle, but because it's just that good. Liz Tomford has a very fast-paced, entertaining writing style, and she knows how to write banter. Like, she knows how to write a romance book that you want to read. She has the best scenes, the cutest moments, a really good, I don't know, like really great themes that are kind of like sadder, or they address a certain topic, or they acknowledge some kind of problem in a lot of people's lives, and she'll bring light to that while also just having the funniest characters, and you just love them all. Like, you grow to love them. So if you want a found family sports romance series, Windy City series is your series. The Addicted series by Kristen Becker Ritchie. This is one of the most popular book series I have ever heard about, and I don't think many people know that you can read them on Kindle Unlimited. Basically, it's about two addicts, Lily and Lo. They're childhood best friends, and they've been feeding into each other's addictions, so they're fake dating, pretending that they're in a relationship so they can live together, and then they coexist in their both addictive habits. Those are the first 3 or 5-ish books in just the Addicted series, and then the Addicted Calloway Sister series, which is, it's basically the whole series. The Addicted Calloway Sister series, the Calloway Sister books are Lily's sisters, Rose and Daisy. They get their own books, and it all kind of just interconnects into one book series. I would never ever say just read the Addicted series. Yes, it is a great series, but you have to get the whole experience, and trust me, 3 books in, you will not just want to read about Lily and Lo. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than just addictions, and the way that their family comes in to save them from their addictions. It's just a story about friends becoming family and reconnecting with your real family, which is Daisy, Lily. They just have a very disconnected relationship, and that gets repaired to the point where they all just become this very great big family that we'll see grow old together. A lot happens. It's not very plot driven. It's a very character driven book, but everything is happening because They're famous, basically celebrity status, and their fame only ever grows. A lot of stuff with the media, a lot of stuff with their addictions, a lot of stuff with their relationships, and everything just happens in these books, and it's like we're following them along just to see them grow up from their college years at like 2019 to the point where they're like in their 30s and 40s in Some Kind of Perfect. The first 5 books are Lily and Lowe's books, then we move to Rose and Connor's books, and then Daisy and Reich's book. Daisy and Reich are a sunshine, grumpy, age gap romance, which a lot of people have a lot of controversy about the age gap. Honestly, I don't think it's really not bad. Like, if you read it, it's really not bad. Rose and Connor is like academic rivals, but when we enter their books, they're already together. So we're kind of just seeing the story through their eyes in their books, but it adds to it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very close found family. You want to be a part of them. They will be near to your heart forever kind of read. And you just have to jump into it, and then you're just going to be stuck there. I don't know. I miss those books every single day. I miss the Calloway sisters. I miss the Addicted series. It will always be the Addicted Calloway sisters series in my heart because it's just all of them. Every single one of them, perfection. Then another really popular book series would be Magnolia Parks. Now, Magnolia Parks isn't on Kindle Unlimited, but 3 of Jessa Hastings' other releases are, and I personally just love Jessa Hastings as an author. Every single time she comes out with a new book, I always read it, and all of her books are hits. I really don't care. I don't care what anybody has to say. Magnolia Parks is one of the best book series ever, but apart from that, every book she's written has been amazing. I honestly have agonized every single time I pick up one of her books. First, we have Time of Your Life. This is her newest release. This is like a rock star model romance, even though it's not very tropes. Like, it's hard to apply tropes to a Jessa Hastings book because a lot of it just kind of feels like works of art. Like, it's very metaphorical, it's very lyrical, and we're just like following flawed people, and they just happen to have these kinds of jobs. Joa, I think is how you say his name. He is a boy band, like he's the face of the boy band. Isolde is a model, and they have a very like instant connection, and then it kind of unfurls in a very toxic, fast love bombing relationship kind of way. It's set in the 90s in London, and you really see that time frame come out. It's supposed to be very reminiscent and nostalgic, and that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving when you read it. But also, it's just very like, it's explosive and toxic in a way, like when you're staring at a car crash, like you can't really look away from it. You can't close the book. And I hate to think about that book, and I like to pretend that I didn't even read it because the way it ended ruined my life. And it will be the best book, like one of the best books you'll ever read. I wish I could read it for the first time again. I wish I could read it 10 times over, but I would not touch that book until I get the second one because I cannot do it. It sent me into psychosis. I loved them so much. I hated them. And that's a lot of the theme with her books. Like, you love those characters to the point where it's painful when they do these things to sabotage their own relationship. The Conditions of Will is a standalone book that she wrote that I have reread, I think like 3 or 4 times now. Like, I could recite it. We're following Georgia and Sam Penny. Sam Penny, like, he doesn't have a POV, but he's just like the male love interest, and he is perfect. He is one of the best male love interests she's ever written, only because he's like the adult, mature, emotionally aware version of her male love interest. A lot of them have like an arc, and she has spoken about how she likes to write about the arc of how they'll become good people and become mature, but like first they're in their 20s and they're a mess and they're self-sabotaging everything. Sam Penny is the person who's already become a good person. We find him after his addiction and after all these things that he's done, and Georgia's just it for him. Georgia, who is actually the main character and the main POV of this book, she is flying back to, I think, South Carolina for her dad's funeral. She meets her brothers AA. They have a romance, and then also a lot of family drama sparks between her like overly religious Catholic Southern family. Like, I don't know, like you get sucked into it, and then you just want to keep reading it and reading it and reading it, and it's just one of the best books. I have reread that book so many times, and I've loved it so much, and I wish I could read it every single day because it just had a very like addictive flow. That's kind of how I feel about all her books. Like, it's very addictive, and you'll fly through them, and you'll always miss them at the end. Like, there's never a book I read from Jessa Hastings that I'm like, I don't want to read this. And I think it's because you just see them at their very worst, so when they get to their best, you just feel like you've been through all of it with them, and then it ends and you're like, what do I do now? Like, I've seen this whole trajectory of your life, and now you're just done. Like, we're just it. And it's a hard detachment, but like that's the best kind of book, a book that you never want to leave. Lastly, Never by Jessa Hastings is also on Kindle Unlimited. This is her first fantasy type of book. She basically has spoken a lot about how she loved Peter Pan, and this is like a Peter Pan spin-off, but Peter is the villain. I don't really know how to get across what we're following, but Daphne, it's been in her family line. She's just in a family of Wendy's. So her grandmother and her grandmother and her mom, they've all had their own experience with Peter Pan, and in the end, he he's always dropped them off back at home, and they grow old while he goes back to Neverland. This time it's Daphne's turn, but when Daphne gets there, we kind of just get to see Peter from a different perspective, and I guess it's modeled after J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan, and we get to see him kind of as a villain, and then she has a romance with Jameson Hook, which is Captain Hook's person. It's very good. Like, it has that lyrical writing style that Jessa Hastings always has, but in a very fantasy world, in a very like pretty world, and it's like almost euphoric. And some of the best analogies, one of the analogies is a suitcase baggage claim analogy, where she's talking about how Peter Pan, when he goes to Neverland, because they never grow up and they're always children, they always check in their baggage at this kind of luggage port. So you go into the sky and you check in your baggage and you leave it all there, and that is one of the most beautifully written pieces of any book I have ever read. People have talked about that, but I always think about it because it's just like her mind does beautiful things. Like her mind creating this world, creating every single series, every single book she's ever written. Honestly, one of the best authors I've ever read, and these 3 books being on Kindle Unlimited is one of the best gems. It is such an undercover find and everybody needs to read them. Then we're switching gears a little bit. This is like a dark romance series. I am not the most dark romance person, but I had a phase, and this was one of my favorites. The May trilogy. It's a 3-book series about I don't know, like mafia lord, serial killer mixes falling in love. The first book is Sweetest Oblivion, then I think it's Maddest Obsession, and it's The Darkest Temptation. They're just really addictive. Like, I don't know, the Sweetest Oblivion was one of the best dark romances I have ever read. Their romance was so just like sparks fly, and you're just so like hooked, and they will do things at the drop of a hat. It kind of like messes you, especially when you're so used to reading fluffy romances, because I have always just read a lot of rom-coms, a lot of literary fiction romances, like that kind of genre. So switching into this like dark romance series, they have the most violent way of expressing their jealousy, expressing their loves, and it's just like very interesting to watch, and it's addictive in a way. Like, I had never been introduced to that side of romance. This series was one of the best series I have read when it comes to dark romances. I really like The Sweetest Oblivion and The Maddest Obsession. I haven't read the last one, and I don't know if I will, but I have thought about it a lot, like over and over again. I read it in the summer, and I'm still thinking maybe I should pick up the next book. They are all on Kindle Unlimited, so if you want to pick them up, they're very accessible, they're very good, they're fast-paced, they're interesting, they're just entertaining books to read, and I really like them. Then switching back to what I know and love, we have a couple more sports romances. The DC Stars series by Chelsea Curto. I read that series a little bit before it went very viral on like Book Talk. I just was not prepared. I don't think anybody can prepare you to just unlock one of the most undercover best sports romance series. It was amazing. It was amazing. When I tell you, I have never been as hooked as I was when I read Hat Trick. The only book I think I haven't read is Face Off, which is like the very first book, because I didn't know going into it that I was reading the second book, and then I read the third book, and then I read the fourth book. My most memorable book is the fourth book, Hat Trick. This is about Riley, who gets into like an accident. Something happens to him where he falls back from his sport, also hockey romance. He stops playing hockey, and the team trainer is the female main character, and they have a romance, and that book, addictive. He was a glasses wearing quiet lover, like quiet guy, but in a good way. It was good. It was so good. Almost 5-star series. I could not get over those books, and I just loved it all the way through. You can read every single one on Kindle Unlimited. Every single thing people have said about it, well deserved. Also, I would recommend reading Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. This is a part of the Hoop series. I honestly only really liked the first book, and I didn't read the third book, and the second book kind of just threw me off. I was just not a fan of it. It had a trope that I could not get over, but that very first book, Long Shot, I would check the trigger warnings for that book. It's a very vivid, upsetting, triggering theme that happens because we have kind of a domestic violence storyline. I just bawled like a baby reading that book because it was just very hard to be in a female character's perspective and watch her experience all this stuff. The love story and like the good love story that happens, it's just worth it. Like, it's worth seeing all the turmoil, because after that, just seeing her get everything she deserves, it makes you feel so much emotions throughout the book, and it like ruined my life, but it was so well written. I was rooting for them the entire time, and I just loved it a lot. Like, I loved it a lot. I would read that book again only if I could stomach it, but I don't think that's a theme I could revisit, especially with how, like, maybe not graphic, but like it was detailed in its explanations, and I made me sick to my stomach. I wouldn't have that dissuade you from the book. I would just say I think everybody should pick it up and enjoy it for what it is, you know? Also, Mariana Zapata. She is a, I don't want to say a sports romance author, but a lot of her romance books that she's written are sports romances. A lot of her books are on Kindle Unlimited, and I have been reading her books since I started reading. She has a very slow burn kind of writing style, and it's really good because since her books are always longer, reading on Kindle, first of all, helps it go faster. She always introduces main characters that like you can't really understand how they would get together. Like every book I've ever started, I can never see a way of not hating the male main character in the beginning. Every single time they just come off like very standoffish, or like they could never get together, and then slowly it almost sneaks up on you how they'll get together, and it's always a very satisfying story. Some of the books I would recommend are Underlock, Culty, and Look Off with Love. Guys, those are the ones that are on Kindle Unlimited. I know The Well of Winnipeg and Me, which is usually my go-to recommendation because that was the first one I ever read. No, it wasn't. It was my second one I ever read, but the most memorable. I love that book. The ones that are actually on Kindle Unlimited from Look Off with Love is a ice skating romance. A lot of people know that one, which is a very popular book for a good reason. I really like that book. It's like a rivalry ice skating kind of read. Culty is slow burn soccer age gap kind of read, and then Underlock is first of all, I'm dumb. I was completely thinking about the wrong book. Underlock is the story about Dex and Iris, and Dex is a tattoo artist. Iris just moved back home and needs a job, so she goes to work at his like front desk, and he's a very like standoffish, mean boss, and she's just really like a sweet girl. Everybody loves her. Everybody's like, be kind to her, be kind to her, be kind to her. And they have like she hates him. They don't like each other at all, but she needs this job, and slowly they fall in love, and it's the cutest book. She's one of the cutest books she's ever written. I love that book. I've also reread that book like 600 times, and I always just easily download it on my Kindle, reread it, download on my Kindle, reread it. Wherever I am, whenever I just in the mood to reread the book and I like just remember them, I've reread it like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I loved it every single time. I would 100% recommend that. Then we have the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer. This is also a newly popular series. Not to say she just wrote it, but it's gaining a lot of momentum on Book Talk. I remember reading the first book, Behind the Net and Fake Out, and Behind the Net is like a not nanny, but like housekeeper kind of thing where like she sang and she cooked for him and all this stuff, and then like he was always traveling and they meet in the middle somewhere, and then like they fall in love. That's not even one of the best books in the series. I think every book just gets better and better and better. Thinking back on it, I don't think the first book would have been my favorite, but I do remember loving Fake Out. I've heard so many great reviews about everything else that's been coming out, and I would 100% recommend it. Also, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and why not pick it up if you can? It's a sports romance series. I think they're all hockey romances, and it's interconnected and found family. It was just one of those sports romance series you want to reread over and over again, and that you just really like, and I really liked it, so I would 100% recommend that series. Then switching gears, we have I wouldn't say cowboy, but like small town series, and that recommendation is the Bailey Brothers series by Claire Kingsley. I think this is like 5 or 6 books that are all based around this small town and these 6 brothers, and we start with 2 books about the first main characters, and then as the book series go on, it just gets better and better and better. I think I rated every single book from a 4 to a 5 star. Like there was not a book that flopped for me. I really loved them all. I would also say this is one of those series again where like the first couple isn't the best couple, and you don't even have to read them continuously. Like you can read them as standalones. The first couple isn't the best couple, but as it goes on, and like the second book and the third book, every single book after, amazing. I also did enjoy the first book. I just, thinking back on it now, if I reread it, I probably wouldn't be the biggest fan, but at the time it flew through it. I remember reading that, kind of just binging it, because it's a very easy thing to binge. Like every single time you finish a book, there's another one waiting for you, and I loved that about this series. I love the writing style. I have never heard people talk about it enough. Like it hasn't gotten enough hype. Speaking of book series that do not get enough hype and have not been talked about enough, we have a indie author, Kai Stevens. I don't know if she's been signed actually, but when I read this book, I was actually able to get an ARC. She was an independent author. The Coastal University series, which starts with Springtime. So cute. It is so cute. It's so easy to read. It's like a beach town college romance series, and the way they had like the kindest sweetest, most tender stories, and the way she like crafted them all. I was really shocked that like no one had ever talked about those books, especially when I was reading it a couple years back, and I just loved it. I read a lot of her discography actually, because I remember I got an ARC for one of her later books, and like I got to read a whole review on it before it came out. She's really done the covers now, so like everything, watching these authors grow have been like one of my favorite things about discovering books on Kindle Unlimited, because a lot of the times a lot of books that are less popular or people who haven't been signed, their books are always on Kindle Unlimited, and then when you discover it, you kind of get to just have like this secret thing between you, or like you just get to see it first before they become like this very big name. And that's how I feel about this author, and I just loved it. I loved it from then, and I still love it now, and I need to get back into her books now that like I'm realizing, like, can I recite the entire plot of the book? Not really, but it was a really great read, and I remember how much I loved it, and I remember how much just the atmosphere was amazing. And one of the books in the series, I remember reading it and I was listening to Strawberry Wine by Nora Khan, and still when I even listen to the song, I think of that book. And they just had the sweetest, kindest love story, which is so funny because like these college students weren't perfect, but they were very lovable. Guys, this is my last recommendation. If you love Kristen Hanna, so The Nightingale, Firefly Lane, she's a very popular author. She's written a lot of books that a lot of people love. Some of her books I realized really recently are on Kindle Unlimited, and one of the books that are very well known and well loved is Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I know, like, is it like Night Alone or something? Like, a couple more books of hers are on Kindle Unlimited, but really the highlighted one I want to say is Winter Garden. I haven't read the book, but I have read in the Firefly Lane, and I really like that book. I think that was interesting enough, that was the first book I've ever read on my channel. Other people love it. So I know Winter Garden is on Kindle Unlimited. I felt like that was so cool because I had never known. I know a lot of Kristen Hanna books aren't, and a lot of her books you have to like buy physically, but Winter Garden, free to read if you want to like introduce yourself into the Kristen Hanna world and her writing style, and see if she's just the author for you before you pick up her books. Those are all my book recommendations for Kindle Unlimited readers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this helped you guys a little bit just to figure out what your next read is going to be, especially on your Kindle, so you can get some use out of it. I have been loving it recently. I've been making videos about it. I've just been having a whole Kindle moment, and I've been enjoying it. I've been loving it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you, but God loves you so much more, and I'll see you in the next one.